How to use the phrase easier said than done in different ways. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our English language lesson. Today, we're going to explore the phrase easier said than done and how it can be used in various contexts. This phrase is commonly used to express that something is more difficult to actually do than it is to talk about or plan. Let's dive into different ways this phrase can be used and the meanings for its usage. 1. Expressing difficulty. One of the most common ways to use the phrase easier said than done is to express that a particular task or action is challenging or difficult. For example, you might say, "It's easier said than done to learn a new language fluently." In this context, you are highlighting the difficulty of achieving fluency in a new language despite it being easy to talk about learning it. 2. Managing expectations. Another way to use this phrase is to manage expectations. For instance, if someone sets out to accomplish a challenging goal, you could advise them by saying, "It's easier said than done, so be prepared for obstacles along the way." Here, you are cautioning the individual that the task may be more challenging in reality than it appears in discussion. 3. Highlighting discrepancies. The phrase can also be used to highlight discrepancies between words and actions. For example, if someone repeatedly talks about making positive changes but fails to follow through with action, you might say, "For them, it's always easier said than done." This usage emphasizes the contrast between what is spoken and what is actually accomplished. 4. Emphasizing complexity. In some cases, easier said than done can be used to emphasize the complexity of a situation or task. For instance, if discussing a complicated project at work, you could remark, "Navigating through this project will be easier said than done." Here, you are underscoring the intricate nature of the task at hand. 5. Encouraging realistic thinking. Lastly, this phrase can be used to encourage realistic thinking when discussing plans or ambitions. You might say, "It's important to remember that achieving our goals will be easier said than done." This usage serves as a reminder that while setting goals is important, it's equally crucial to acknowledge the challenges involved in reaching them. Six. In comparing difficulties. Easier said than done can be used when comparing the ease of a particular task or action. For example, when someone suggests a solution to a problem, you can respond with, "Yes, it might be easier said than done, but I appreciate the effort." This phrase acknowledges that the solution might be simple to suggest, but executing it could be challenging. 7. In expressing skepticism. When someone is overly optimistic or confident about a task or action, you can use easier said than done to express skepticism. For example, "I agree that starting a new business is a great idea, but it's easier said than done." This phrase conveys that while the idea may be attractive, the actual process of starting a business is more complex and difficult than it seems. 8. In responding to advice. When someone offers advice or a solution to a problem, you can use easier said than done to acknowledge the advice but also imply that it might not be as simple to implement. For example, I understand your suggestion, but as they say, easier said than done. This phrase shows that you appreciate the advice but are also aware of the potential challenges in putting it into practice. 9. In comparing efforts. Easier said than done can be used when comparing the efforts required for two different tasks or actions. For example, while writing a novel may be easier than running a marathon, it's still easier said than done. This phrase highlights that although one task may be more challenging than another, both require significant effort and dedication. 10. In describing life lessons. Easier said than done can be employed to describe a life lesson or a piece of wisdom that is difficult to put into practice. For example, it's true that patience is a virtue, but as they say, easier said than done. This phrase acknowledges the value of the lesson while also recognizing the challenges in applying it to one's life. In conclusion, the phrase easier said than done can be employed in various ways to convey difficulty, manage expectations, highlight discrepancies, emphasize complexity, and encourage realistic thinking. I hope this lesson has provided you with valuable insights into using this common English expression effectively. Remember to practice using these different contexts in your conversations to become more proficient in using this phrase. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Keep practicing and have a great day.